Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be talking about some of my favourite non-fiction books on a huge variety of topics. So, if you've been following my channel for a while, you may know that I'm a really big reader, and if you're new here, I'm a really big reader. So I love my books, and I especially love reading non-fiction books on a huge amount of topics because I just like learning new things. I like science books, history books, biographies, and loads of different things. So today I'm just going to be talking through a few of my favourites and giving a few recommendations. Let's just dive into these and I'll tell you a little bit about what I think. So the first one I'm going to get out of the way because it's a big heavy book and it is Life Story. This is one of the kind of like BBC nature books and I love my nature books. I have literally a whole shelf of them on a huge range of topics. Of course I love them for both the photography and the information. Some of the photos are really cute. Look at these little guys. But yeah, I had a hell of a lot to pick from, but I picked this one because I really like the kind of storytelling aspect of it. It literally tells the story of a whole bunch of animals and starts with things like giving birth, to growing up, to finding mates, finding food, how they kind of build their habitats and things, and it's just a really nice book. Of course there's some sad bits in it, as with all kind of nature books, because that's just part of nature. But most of it is really fun and really interesting and I just really like it. One of my favourite bits is about the bowerbird, and they're really cute because they build these really kind of like fancy nests for their kind of like potential mates or to like attract a mate, and they collect all these blue things to decorate it, and they're really fancy, like big structures and stuff. And initially they just collect like blue flowers and things like that, but as people have started dropping more litter and stuff in the areas around their habitats, now they go and get things like blue straws and little bits of blue litter and they decorate their nests with that. And this is kind of like one of those things where people are like, oh, people ruin the environment, but at the same time this bird's kind of adapted and using it to its advantage to make its kind of nest displays bigger and fancier to attract more female birds. So that's one thing I thought was kind of like a little bit cool. But like I say, there's loads of really interesting stories in this book about loads of different animals. There's the ones you know, like tigers, meerkats, that kind of thing, and also animals you might not have heard of before, like the pika and the bowerbird and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's a really great book and it's a really fun one to read. Next up, following on the science side of things, I want to talk a little bit about neurobiology. Because back when I was studying biomed, this is kind of the area that I want to specialise in, so I've kind of kept my interest up and kept reading quite a lot on the subject. And one of the books I would really recommend is Synaptic Self by LeDoux. So I think that's how his name's pronounced. It's French, so I'm a little bit, I find it a little bit tricky. This book, as you can probably tell, is quite battered and loved and well read. And if you open it up to pretty much any page, you'll see there are lots of notes and scribbles and things in here that I've like added to and annotated, and like little questions I've asked myself as it's gone along. But it's a really good book. It is a little bit more advanced than your kind of basic science book, but I kind of really enjoyed this because it brought back a lot of the things that I was learning when I was doing biomed. So it does like talk a lot about neurobiology and stuff, but it also brings into that bits of biochemistry and stuff, but the interesting bits of it, honest. It does get quite technical, like I say, but it explains it all in a really easy to understand manner, which is really good. Basically, the point of this book is talking about how our brains kind of create and maintain our personality and helps us understand who we are and why we are who we are, so it's really cool. I don't want to kind of like talk about it too much in detail because I'd really say give it a read if you are interested in science at all, but go in there with a kind of mind to sit down and take time and really ingest what it's saying, because like I say, it does get a bit technical, but it's definitely worth it. It's a really good book. Next up, still talking about the brain, one of the books I would recommend that's a little bit lighter is Sane New World by Ruby Wax, and I absolutely adore this book. And it talks a lot about kind of mental health, depression, anxiety, these sorts of things, and it talks about it in a really kind of easy to understand, relatable way. But it also talks about it in the sense of why that happens to people. It talks about the neurobiology side of things. It explains how the brain works in a really simple way, and also what goes wrong in the brain to kind of create these kind of feelings and problems and stuff like that. And then the end of it talks about kind of like mindfulness techniques and ways of dealing with mental health issues. But the bulk of it I find really interesting is the bit that talks about the brain and the kind of physical why behind mental illnesses. And I just think it's a really, really interesting read. It's a really useful read to anyone who has any mental health problems, or anyone who knows anyone else going through mental health problems, because it really helps you kind of understand them and what they're going through. Basically, I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful book. It explains everything really, really simply, so it's kind of one that I think everyone should read. Next up, on a completely different note from all of those, I'm going for more of a fun book. And if you don't know at all, I am quite into my photography. I really, really enjoy it. So I mostly take gig photographs, that's kind of my big thing. But point is, I love taking photos, and I pretty much carry my camera everywhere with me because I just enjoy it and it's fun and I like it. And this book I want to recommend is Photocrafty by Venables? I'm not very good with pronouncing names. Basically, this is the hipster guide to photography. It is about as hipster as you can get. I mean, it's square for a start, so it's reminiscent of Instagram. It's full of hipster style photographs, oh, there we are. And yeah, basically it's just a really fun little kind of do-it-yourself photography guide. I used to use this for a couple of bits when I was doing kind of the practical training sessions at Warwick. That was always really fun. It gives you loads of ideas for really cool, kind of like creative little bits of photography, like light painting or light graffiti as they call it, things like this. It tells you how to do things like making your own little shaped filters for the end of your lens, which gives you really cool bokeh effects and things like that. And it's just lots of kind of silly little things that you can do at home, and it's just really fun. And it's one of those books that when you're feeling a bit uninspired, you can just come and have a flick through this, and it just gives you all these really cool ideas again, and it does make photography fun. And that's what I really like about it. It's not a book that takes itself seriously. It's not a book that's telling you how to be a professional or how to take professional quality photos. It's just a book that says photography is fun and here's some ideas you can have to have fun with it, and I really enjoy that about it. And on the subject of fun, the last book I want to end on is a silly little one. I was thinking of including some kind of biography or memoir in this, and there's a lot of those that I like and a lot that I could have included. But I decided to choose this one because it's the silliest one of the bunch, but one of my favourites. This is Tuna Melts My Heart, and this is little Tuna, and he's so cute. I have been such a fan of Tuna for a long time. Basically, he's a little dog on Instagram, and he has quite the overbite, so I can totally relate to him because I have quite an overbite as well, which well isn't obvious in videos, and I like that, but it is quite bad. But not as bad as this little guy, and he looks ridiculous, but he's absolutely adorable and I love him. And this book is just full of photos of him and these adorable little captions all about him and how he goes about his day and what he does, and it's so cute. You can tell his mum put this together with so much love and care, and it's absolutely adorable and beautiful, and I love it so much. So you probably won't learn anything from this, but you'll have a really good time, and it's full of cuteness, and I think everyone should read it because he's adorable and lovely. And he was a little rescue dog as well, so he's just the cutest and I love him. Anyway, I may have been getting a little bit carried away there. But for now, those are all the non-fiction books I want to talk about. There are a hell of a lot I would recommend, and I think I'll probably do another kind of part 2 to this video talking about a few more. Like I say, I'd love to talk about some history books and things like that. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the kind of, oh, I'd also like to talk about business books and things like that as well, because I read a lot of marketing books, because that's kind of my area that I've worked in and stuff. But that's where I'm going to end this video for now, because I don't want to get in too long. But let me know what you thought of any of these books if you've read them. Let me know what your favourite non-fiction books are and if you have any recommendations, especially in the kind of science biology category, because I really, really like that area. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon.